Thomas Reeves pushed through the oak door of the Heritage Grill. Every table was packed. His boots left dust marks on the polished floor. He'd been walking for 2 hours. His clothes smelled like the bus station alley where he'd slept. But he knew this place. He'd carved every beam in that ceiling. Kyle Drake looked up from the host stand. His eyes went cold. "We're fully booked." "Just need water," Thomas said. "Maybe a chair for 5 minutes." Kyle stepped around the podium. "This is fine dining. We don't do handouts." "I'm not asking for charity," Thomas said quietly. "Your grandfather told me I'd always be welcome." "My grandfather's dead." Kyle's jaw tightened. "I run things now." A woman at table 6 looked over. Others turned. The room grew quieter. "Please." Thomas pulled off his cap. "Just water. I'll wait by the door." Kyle grabbed his arm. "You're scaring customers. Leave." "I'm not." "Out!" Kyle shoved him hard. Thomas stumbled against a support beam. His palm hit the Douglas fir he'd milled 30 years ago. His chisel marks were still there in the grain. A blogger at table 12 kept her phone camera running. Kyle shoved again. "I said get out, you bum! That's enough!" A woman in her 70s stood up. Her chair scraped loud against the floor. "Do you know who that man is?" Kyle froze. "Some homeless guy trying to—" "That's Thomas Reeves." Her voice cut through every conversation. "He built this building with his own hands in 1993. Dead silence. "That's impossible," Kyle said, but his grip loosened. A man in a suit stood. "She's right. I was on the crew. Thomas was lead carpenter. Did all the custom work." "The beams." An older man pointed up. "Those hand-carved beams. Thomas did every one." Thomas stayed by the door, hat in both hands. "I don't want trouble." "Wait." Maria, a waitress who'd worked there 15 years, disappeared into the back office. Kyle's face flushed. "Even if that's true, I didn't—" "You should have known." The elderly woman stepped closer. Her name was Dorothy Chen. "Your grandfather and Thomas were best friends." Maria rushed back, holding a framed photograph. She shoved it at Kyle. "Look." The photo showed 2 men on opening day. Kyle's grandfather with his arm around a younger Thomas, both grinning, both wearing tool belts, a handwritten note at the bottom. "To Thomas, my brother in craft and spirit, you eat free here forever. Gerald Drake, 1993. Kyle's hand shook as he took the frame. Grandfather never told me." "Because you never asked." Maria's voice was ice. "You inherited this place and changed everything. Never once asked about its history." Thomas turned toward the door. "I should go." "No." Dorothy's voice rang out. "Kyle should go." 20 people stood. Then 30. Then 40. Phones came out everywhere, cameras recording. Kyle went pale. "Please, everyone, this is a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding." A contractor pointed at the bar railings. "Thomas forged those. I watched him. Took 3 weeks." Another voice. "He built the patio pergola." The window frames. The front door. Thomas's eyes burned. He'd forgotten how much of himself lived in this place. "I served in Vietnam," Thomas said. "Came back and learned carpentry from my father. Your grandfather hired me when I was struggling. Gave me purpose." Kyle swallowed hard. "What happened to you?" "PTSD." Thomas met his eyes. "Got bad a few years ago, lost my apartment, VA benefits stuck in red tape for 8 months. He looked down. "Your grandfather let me eat here when things got tight. Never made me feel small." "This is going viral," the blogger said. 300,000 views already." Kyle's phone exploded with notifications. Maria showed him her screen. The video was everywhere, comments flooding, "Owner assaults veteran disgusting" / "He built that place" / "Boycott Heritage Grill." Kyle's face crumbled. "I didn't know. I swear." Ignorance isn't an excuse. Dorothy was already putting on her coat. 30 years I've eaten here. Not anymore." Others followed. One by one, customers left cash on tables and walked out. The blogger posted her review. 1 star. Owner physically assaulted homeless veteran. The man who built this restaurant was thrown out like garbage. 0 compassion, 0 respect. Never returning. 5,000 shares in 1 hour. 2 million views by evening. Kyle stood alone in the empty restaurant, surrounded by Thomas's work. Every beam, every carved detail, every fixture, all proof of craftsmanship and pride. His phone rang. Health inspector. "Opening an investigation. Hostile environment complaint. Tomorrow at 9. Then contractors started calling. "Heard what you did to Thomas Reeves. Won't work on your expansion." Click. "You disrespect a master carpenter. You don't deserve our business." Click. "Thomas taught half of us. You're blacklisted." Click. The boycott organized overnight. Facebook groups, Instagram posts, local news coverage. Week 2, the restaurant was a ghost town. 20 customers a day, down from 300. Kyle posted an apology video. "I made a terrible mistake. I was wrong. I want to make this right." Comments. "Too late" / "Actions have consequences" / "Should have thought before." Thomas saw it from a shelter cot. He closed his eyes and said nothing. Week 3. Kyle's cousin Rachel called. "I heard everything. I also found grandfather's will." "What about it?" "There's a provision. Specifically grants Thomas Reeves lifetime dining privileges as family. Legally binding. You violated it." Kyle's stomach dropped. "I'm buying you out," Rachel said. "I have investors. We close in 2 weeks." Kyle tried to fight it, but the business was dying. He owed vendors. Staff quit. Health inspection found violations. Nothing major, but enough to force expensive repairs. He sold. No choice. The Heritage Grill closed on a Friday. Kyle stood outside watching workers remove the sign. Everything his grandfather built, the reputation, the trust, gone in one moment of cruelty. He got a job at Walmart, stocking shelves, night shift. 6 months later, the Heritage Grill reopened under new ownership. Rachel Drake and her business partner, Thomas Reeves. The grand reopening made headlines. Veteran carpenter reclaims restaurant he built. Thomas stood at the entrance in clean flannel, boots polished. His VA benefits had come through. He'd gotten therapy, found housing, reconnected with his daughter. Rachel had found him through Veterans Outreach. "I want to honor grandfather's promise," she'd said. "Partner with me. Help me run this the right way." Opening night was packed. The community came to celebrate. Dorothy Chen sat at table 6. "Welcome home, Thomas." Maria was back as head waitress. Better pay, better hours. The contractor who defended Thomas brought his whole crew. "First round's on us." Thomas stood at the bar looking at the carved beams overhead. His work, his legacy. Rachel tapped a glass. "Everyone, thank you. Tonight and every Thursday forward, all veterans eat free. In honor of Thomas's service and my grandfather's promise." The room erupted in applause. Thomas raised his glass. "To second chances and to communities that remember." Everyone drank. A reporter approached. "Mr. Reeves, how does it feel to own the place you built?" Thomas smiled, a real smile, first in years. "Like coming full circle. My grandfather taught me, build things that last and treat people like they matter. I forgot that for a while. Good to be reminded." The restaurant thrived. Within a year, it was a landmark again. Not just for food, for what it represented. Dignity, respect, community. Kyle saw the coverage from his apartment. He'd tried apologizing to Thomas in person. Thomas had simply said, "I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. You have to live with what you've done." Kyle nodded. It was fair. He never stopped working nights at Walmart, never tried the restaurant business again, some mistakes you don't recover from. But every year on opening day, he donated anonymously to the Veterans Fund the Heritage Grill ran. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't enough. But it was something. And Thomas Reeves, master carpenter, veteran survivor, stood in the restaurant he'd built with his own hands. Finally home.